Hello and welcome back to EVE Online for what will be the final part of my exploration series for the EVE Basics. Now the reason this will be the final part is because we are going to explore to the deepest delves of Wormhole space, one of the most dangerous places in EVE Online, but still one of the most lucrative. So to do that we're going to have to find a wormhole first of all. Now you find wormholes by the same way we found data sites last time, by scanning sites down. Now, I haven't changed anything about the ship fit, so it's still that Nubro Heron that we made up in the first video. And the only thing that's different is that we're just now going to look at wormholes. Now, as I said before, this is dangerous and I would not recommend this for new players. But if you do find yourself enticed, as I always say, always give it a go. Now, I did cheat a wee bit before the video started. I did actually scan down a wormhole in this system. I have marked it. So if we go right click and go to my personal accounts, I have marked it and I'm going to warp straight to it. I'm just doing that because we've seen the scanning. You don't have to see the scanning again. If you did miss how the scanning works, please check out my previous video. It's all in there. Also with running a data site. Now wormholes have several differences to the real space, or what we know as K space. The main difference is that down here on the bottom left hand corner from mine, is usually defaulting in that area, you have the local chat. Now that is everybody in this system, and they can chat. Normally you'll see quite a lot of people taking around in places like Jita. Other systems tend to be more quiet. Wormhole space does not have local, which makes it hard, and it also doesn't tell you who's in the system, so it does make it harder to tell you that. Now, first thing you should always do when you find a wormhole is check out the information. That's personal locations. Want to go to show info, and that'll give us some information on the wormhole. So the first thing we'll do is this wormhole seems to lead to unknown parts of space, so that leads at least into wormhole space. Wormholes do also lead to other parts of high sec, low sec, and null sec, but this one it means to lead unknown parts of space. As wormholes begin to date, well, wormholes only last 24 hours, and they have a maximum amount of ships that can pass through and for them. That's actually measured in the ship's mass, so heavier ships decay wormholes quicker than lighter ships like this Heron will do. But what we can see is this wormhole is not significantly disabled by ships passing through it, so this will stay open for a while. It's not really risk of me going through and it shutting behind me. And of course, larger ships can pass through the wormhole, which means pretty good get we can get through. You can see the size of the thing is quite fantastic. So what we're going to do is we're just going to bite the bullet and we're going to jump through the wormhole, ready for delving into space. Now immediately, first thing you look at the top, you'll see we have a J. This up here is a wormhole system, and it's a -1. But the first thing I want to do before you do anything else is right click here, save this location. It just means that you can quickly get back to this wormhole without having to scan it down. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my warp 2 and I'm going to jump to the sun again. Now we did this last time. We jumped to the sun as a wee kind of beacon point, and we're just going to do that again. Now as we can see here, we've got lots and lots of things in our probe scanner down here. Some cosmic signatures, which many could be other wormholes, leading to a big chain of wormholes. And we've got these frontier barracks fortification sites. Now, in these lie the dangers of wormhole space. In these areas here you will find, let's be honest, sleepers. The third most dangerous enemy in EVE, behind players and of course Concord. Now sleepers are notoriously hard to kill and are notoriously damaging to players. They also do things that you would not expect player ships to do, such as extend newts, webs, scrams, all out to ranges unthinkable by players. But that isn't my only problem. My problem is that there are players in here, or could be, but I can't see them. So what we're going to do is come down to your scanners, and we're going to activate the directional scanner. Now once again, much like the probe scanner, you can see it pops up with the map. We're just going to undock it from the map and close the map. Now there we go. Already I've noticed that there is a magnet in the system, so I'm not alone in the system. I'm just going to cover that over locals, since locals are not used at this moment in time. And I now know that there's a magnet in this system with me. That means I'm not alone. Not the biggest worry. A small magnet is very much like ourselves. He's probably just in for the first time, so we'll ignore him for now, but we will keep an eye on him. And the way we do that is automatically scanning with our D-scan, is pressing V on the keyboard or clicking scan, and that will update this here. Now I can actually use the D-scan to find the magnate by changing the range. So if I drop it down to 5, rescan, he's still there. Drop it to 1, he's not there anymore, so we can just pop it up a wee bit. 2, oh, he's there. So I know he's within 1.4. So I know he's within 1.4 AU of my location, and I can start to, so he is roughly in that half of my direction. This is the angle, so that will vary depending on where you're looking, and you can use that to locate ships, taking that all the way down to 30 degrees or all the way up to 180/360. That is basically a good way of locating ships if you don't have the skills to use combat probes and locate ships that way. It's a good idea to keep it all around you and just bump it up to 14, and you can keep an eye on everybody within your range. If you need to see your range, open the source system map, zoom in. The big green sphere there is the range of your D-scan. Now, every time I pump that, you see it pulses, and any ships within that range will flag to me on here. Now we see that the magnate scanner probes have now disappeared. It's possibly he's decided no longer to scan and is leaving the system, or that he's found a target he's going to pick at, like we did with the data site previously. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to warp down to this ore site to see if I'm going to warp in it 50 kilometers away from the site. We're just going for a little look. We're not here to do anything dangerous, but we are just to show you a little look about what you can actually get access to in these kind of sites. So the ore you're going to get access to here would normally only be found in nullsec, but it does give high secers access to this kind of ore, but you do have to be careful, as I said previously. See, on site we can zoom in and we can see we've got loads of Veldspar, as you expect, Paracese, Socrates, Radiant Hempfite, Pyrodex, and back down to Jespit, Nice, Ancanor, Orchard, Biscot. Very, very, very valuable ores, which means sites like these quite interesting to come along in. Now, the combat sites we see here are a tad beyond our skill level, but I'm also noticed that there's no asteroid belts in Wormhole space. There are sites, but no asteroid belts. So what we'll do is we'll head off in this direction, and we will look at scanning down just one of the sites, and we'll see what we can get. Okay, so we'll turn on our Mega Warp Drive. Normally, I would only ever advise coming into Wormhole space if you had a cloak, which means you could cloak up whilst you're doing your scanning. We don't have a cloak. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be keeping an eye on my D-scan whilst I do the scanning. So we'll pop the scanner, pop our scanning probes, pop out our, I'm going to hit B again. Oh, we got more scanning probes out, and they're mine. So you can see it also flags your own scanning probes. And we're just going to filter out all of the anomalies, and we're going to pick the top one. There it is. And we'll go and scan it down. Maybe we'll get lucky with a relic site or something that we can go poke around at, but it will be more dangerous than the ones we have seen in high sec. But yeah, we'll give it a go anyway, and we'll see where it takes us. If we get somewhere, if not, if we run into sleepers, you'll probably hear me scream like a little girl, as the ship is in no way equipped to take on sleepers. However, sleepers do drop loot, which is very valuable in certain circles, and living in Wormhole space with a good group of friends, you can make a lot of risk very quickly, as long as you're skilled for the appropriate wormhole. Wormholes, like everything else in Eve, do have gradients and difficulties, just as you would expect. Everything else, like scanning, combat sites and everything. Now, what we'll do is we'll just go right here as I just blitz through this, trying once again just to keep it as accurate as I can get it. Keeping an eye on the D-scan, scanning away there. You notice that my probes are now back within I was still within my D-scan range, so they do still show up, but I can't see all of them at this point in time, and nor can I basically see how far away they are from me. So I know they're there. I know roughly where they are because they're mine, but I can't see exactly, and that'll be the same with ships. So you do have to be very careful and keep pressing that D-scan every time you get the opportunity. Every 30 seconds or so, just press D-scan, rescan, press D-scan, rescan. We want to make sure that going that way, we want to keep ourselves as safe as we possibly can. As I've previously said, nowhere in Eve is safe. Now we did have a failure there So scanning sites down here is a lot harder than in high sec or low sec or even null sec. These are some of the hardest sites to scan down, though like everything it does grade, so you can get sites that are easy to scan in low sec and high sec. It's just the way you end up getting it. So I'm sure you all remember when we saw this last time, and we always go for the furthest away one. I actually learnt that whilst I was in Wormhole space the last time I was here with a couple of friends when we started Small Corp. But what we'll do is we'll scan again and we'll hopefully get something. I'm just even hoping to identify it at this rate before it gets beyond the skill level of this alpha character. And we've discovered another wormhole. Do you know what? Let's go check it out. So we'll pull our probes back, pop on that, and we'll go ahead and bounce. So we'll check out this wormhole, we'll pop on through, and once again, well, this will be a good way to teach you to mark. We'll teach you, basically again, we'll show you again how to mark wormholes. You should always enter your you should always mark your entry and exit point. Usually differently. We're gonna make, but as I said at the beginning of the video, maybe I didn't say it, but I should have said I'm making a lot of mistakes and breaking a lot of rules when it comes to wormhole travel here. As I said, I would never advise new pros to come in, but it's not up to me to tell you what to do in Eve, so it's truly up to you. So what we'll do is we'll mark it and we'll save location and we'll call it Wormhole, and we'll call this one Wormhole 2. And once again, that's us, and we'll jump it. So what you can end up doing in wormhole space, you jump wormhole after wormhole after wormhole and just build up this chain of wormholes, but it's also quite easy to get lost due to this. So boom, once again, and you'll notice we have noticed that there's a control tower in this system. So once again, I will bookmark this wormhole here, save location, and let's have a look again. So we'll look back at anomalies, and what do we have? From our hangar, oh, this is an interesting one. So we have an average frontier site. So an average frontier deposit, another combat site from I had an ordinary deposit site, the common perimeter deposit. Now we'll pop into the common one. So you get this alerts here. We alert this. Right. Spies price. So this is basically telling you a bit about the site. You get that in certain sites, and actually all over the place in Eve. Not normal sites. Normally you would jump to a site and you won't get that. When you do get that warning, it means that something's usually there, and we're going to have a little look, see what we can find. And what do we have here? Iconor, Beskite, Crocite, loads of spawn. So once again, loads of very valuable ores now. Not very used to me in this dinky little heron. But if you were to have a mining ship, maybe a venture, just venture in, then it might be of use to someone. So once again, for the remainder of this video, we'll do one more pass with our panel probe, see if we can get anything, and then what I'll do is I'll end the video here and I'll head back out of wormhole space. Thankfully, we haven't encountered anyone, which is always good because encountering somebody in wormhole space is genuinely quite scary. But as I said previously, you can make quite a lot of ISK in wormhole space. It is a very valuable and profitable region of space. It just comes, as with the rest of Eve, risk versus reward. With almost everything you do must be taken into account, especially with this kind of exploration. Now, this exploration that I'm doing right now is very delicate because I have to be on the ball, watching my D-scan to make sure nobody's coming up. I mean, if you notice, there's actually a Citadel in here as well now. We've got in range of this guy and that, so we've got to be very careful. I've got to keep an eye on my probes, I'm keeping an eye on my D-scan, I'm keeping an eye on my overview, because if we have sleepers land on us, which might happen, then I've got to be ready to react to that. Which is annoying for myself, but ultimately, it's the price you pay when you come to wormhole space, and as I already showed you, some of the ore you do get access to otherwise would only be available if you had access to nullsec, which, yeah, you might get into nullsec quite quickly. There's a couple of great ones out there to get into quickly: Brave, Newbies, Karma Fleet. No judging, depending on what you choose to do. These guys all will teach you how to play the game. So with learning yourself, I learned mostly how to play by myself, so it's not impossible. But what we're doing here is we're just having a little look to make sure that we're alone again. Oh, we have a gas site. Now that's an interesting one. This I will show you because these are phenomenally good for just getting isk. What we'll do is we'll pop up there. And I do wish I actually had. Now, I don't know whether alphas have access to gas, and what we'll do is we'll check that out in a second once we set this to scan. Just go into our skills. Go into resource processing, is it? Yep, resource processing, and we'll show all skills. And what we want to look for is gas cloud harvesting, and you can, yes, of course. You're mining up to level 4, and then you can get gas cloud harvesting, which will be absolutely brilliant if you can get into some of these sites. And it's a barren perimeter site, so we'll pump that there. So again, we'll scroll it down. Boom. Now, a lot of this video will have actually just been looking at the scanner window and me talking about lots of things that are probably a bit more complicated than you're used to. I do apologise for that, but this is probably some of the more scarier side of Eve. This ass. I find it anyway. Don't quote me on that. I mean, not everybody. Some people love wormhole space. And once again, we get a pop-up to tell us where we're going. A bit of interesting lore and fluff if you're interested in reading it. And what we'll do is we'll jump again. Keep pressing the D-scan as we go across, just to check. Just keeps checking the system out. This was good. We're heading right to the edge of the system, so this is quite a wee safe area right on the edge of the system. Boom, we're on a gas site. And there you go. Gas. Doesn't look like much. But you find that this is fluoride C50. Show the info. And there you go. So that we will be able to view market details, but if you keep that on page load up, you can view the market details in there, and what you'd be able to see then is just how much S you can actually get for some decent gas. So that's it for wormholes for now. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to bounce back out of them, so we'll go back to our personal locations, warp to 0, keep checking that D-scan. So just check the D-scan again as we warp here. Now you notice that the blue icon there shows that I have a personal location bookmarked there, which is good. It means we're jumping back to the right location. And there you go, there's our wormhole, the way we got in. And what we'll do is we'll just bounce back out. So that's us back to our original wormhole. Oh, the first thing you notice is that. Now you notice that that is the magnate we saw earlier, and we've now found him sitting there in a venture. Now he could be out in the ore site we visited, one of the ore sites we visited earlier, or he could have found a gas site and he's sitting there sniffing gas, as we like to say, sniffing or huffing. Either one works. That's where he could be. It's most likely. That's where he is, as I said, makes good isk. Now, a bit of a word for warning. As I said, notice here, nobody appears in local and wormhole space, but the minute you type in there, you appear. And you will stay there for a limited period of time, but you will appear to anyone in the system that you're in system. So it is always advised that if you are going to mention something in local, that you beware you are giving away the fact that you are in the wormhole. So be aware of that if you ever do decide to do it, if you ever decide to speak out. And we'll just jump this wormhole here, and that's us back into high security space. Still not safe, but much safer than we were 30 seconds ago. Alright, so that's all for this week. Yeah, this week actually. It won't be no video until next week. Probably Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, not sure yet. Depends on how my weekend goes and what I get done. But that'll be it for exploration. Next time I will be moving on to something different. Possibly moving on to combat sites. Not sure yet. I need to think about it. If anyone's got anything they'd like to ask, or like some ideas, or what they want me to discuss next, absolutely post the comments and I'll have a look and see what I can do for you. Alright, well, thank you very much and have a good weekend. Fly safe.